If you're planning a trip to Madeira, trust us, there's a lot they don't tell you and that we wish we would have known before we went on our trip.
Guys, she's so happy she doesn't have to eat fish or octopus for like the 10th time in a row.
From the insane crowds, crazy roads, and the parking wars,
don't be an a-hole or moron when you park out here,
to the brutal hikes that Instagram makes look easy, Madeira is full of surprises. In this video, we're gonna be breaking down everything we wish we knew before going, from where to park to what to eat, how to make the most out of the hikes, and finishing with the magic of the Madeira sunsets. So if you want to avoid rookie mistakes and make the most of this epic island, make sure to stick around to the end. Hi, if you guys are new here, we're Giselle and Steven, also known as the Lover's Passport, and we're taking you on a new bucket list adventure every single week of this year. If you guys love to travel and see beautiful places around the world, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. And with that, let's jump into the things we wish we knew before we went to Madeira, starting with number 1. First off, parking here is crazy. You will have to rent a car in order to see most of the island of Madeira, but parking here can be very, very tight and scary.
So we're here on a Tuesday, and this is the most insane parking I've ever seen for like any hike. People are parking on the road, they're double parking, they're blocking people in. Don't be an a-hole or moron when you park out here. Just, you know, if you're here and there's no more spots, just come back.
Go to a different hike.
Go to a different hike.
Most of the parking is done on massive hills, and most of the time you are getting boxed in a lot of the hikes because people double and triple park next to you. So just make sure you are smart when you are parking. A couple things that we did were we always looked for the very front or the very back of the parking lots so that we can have an easy escape. And when you are parking, make sure you know how to parallel park and that you know which direction to turn your tires when you are parking, and to turn on your emergency brake, because like I said, the hills here are crazy. Another thing to remember is to download the parking app. We'll make sure to go ahead and link it down below, but if you don't download the parking app, you will have to make sure that you have coins in order to pay for the parking.
Number 2 is that a lot of places around Madeira only take cash. So make sure to actually go to the ATM once you land. There's actually quite a few ATMs, especially in Funchal, but if you're over in Ponta de Sol, there's a few as well. There's not as many on the northern or the eastern side of the island, so I would definitely recommend doing it in the earlier half of your trip just to pull some cash out. We pulled out about €100, and that's all we really needed in terms of cash only restaurants and purchases, but it depends obviously if you are going to be going shopping or anything like that. We only had to use it for a couple of local restaurants, particularly like the touristy spots took credit cards, but a lot of them were like local spots where they didn't really speak English were cash only. So make sure to have some just in case. Next up is never trust the weather app on your phone. I would recommend actually downloading an app like Windy. We see that's the most accurate all over the world because Madeira has several microclimates and the weather changes super rapidly.
Guys, the weather changes here every 5 minutes. It was like
sopping wet.
Perfect conditions, incredible. And then look at this. It's just like absolutely torrential downpour.
Even with a rain jacket, like soaking wet.
Could be super sunny on one side of the island and completely stormy and clouded out on the other side of the island. Ponta de Sol is the sunniest area, which makes sense. It has sun in the name. So you're gonna find the most sunshine on the southwestern side of Madeira. You'll be on a hike. It'll start off beautiful and sunny, and then it will suddenly be like Iceland level gusts of wind and pouring rain.
It's raining, Tim. Not 2 minutes after we recorded the last video, it is now sunny and raining on us.
Bring a jacket.
Make sure that you pack a full variety of layers in your hiking backpack and all of your 10 essentials. I was bringing a rain jacket / windbreaker with me. I was bringing a mid layer or my Patagonia R1. I was bringing a puffy jacket, and then I was also bringing a short sleeve shirt in the event that it got really hot.
Number 4 is there's going to be a lot of octopus and fish everywhere you go. If you are a vegetarian or vegan, you might struggle at a couple of these places just because everywhere we went, the main thing to eat was either octopus or some type of fish. We found a couple restaurants on the island, mostly in the town of Calheta.
Guys, she's so happy she doesn't have to eat fish or octopus for like the 10th time in a row.
It's the number 8 food house.
that had some really good options, including Indian food and some Japanese food and Thai food, but most of the rest of the island is going to be a lot of seafood. So just important for you to know if you are not the biggest fan of fish. Number 5 is if you are doing anything on the island between the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., it is going to be crowded. We try to do a lot of the hikes where we would go and do a sunrise. We would go check out one viewpoint and then jump on the hikes, and the parking lots are completely filled by 10 a.m. and most of the tours are going to the popular destinations between this. Because so many cruise ships come into Madeira, as well as there are a lot of tour buses and adventure tours that take people out to do 2 or 3 things during the afternoon, just know most of the hikes and most of the popular destinations are going to be very busy between this time. So if you are a photographer or you're looking to have some more peace and quiet when you explore some of these places, I would definitely recommend going first thing in the morning or waiting till it's a little bit later in the afternoon and the crowd started to die down. Number 6 is the Madeira wine you are not going to want to sleep on. There's Madeira wine as well as poncha. Poncha is kind of like this island rum that's almost like fruit juice. It's honestly really good. I would definitely recommend trying at least a little bit, even if you aren't the biggest fan of rum, but I would be careful because it does taste like fruit juice, but it is extremely strong. And then on the other hand, the Madeira wine is also very sweet as well. Most of the wines that you taste are kind of dry and have quite a bit of tannin throughout the world, but the Madeira wines are very sweet, almost like a dessert wine, and there's quite a few different styles of them. So while you were there, you can go wine tasting. We tried quite a few of them and actually got a wine bottle with our room at the place we were staying in because it is very famously known for having delicious wine in Madeira. So if you like wine, definitely spend a day going out and exploring the beautiful wine country.
Number 7 is that the hikes are no joke. Not only the parking to get to them, but also the trails are pretty intermediate. I wouldn't say any of the trails we did were super beginner friendly. So if you've never hiked in your life, you might find them a little more difficult. Steven and I are a very avid hikers, so we thought they were pretty easy. But if you are brand new to hiking, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you bring some really good hiking shoes that are preferably waterproof, have good ankle support and good grip, because a lot of the trails, because of all the rain out here, do get super slippery. So that's just something to keep in mind. There are a lot of stairs on all of these hikes, so you will be getting your elevation gain in. A lot of them are pretty steep and they're also super narrow. So when you are going uphill and downhill and trying to pass one another, it does get pretty crowded in the afternoon.
Number 8 is sunrises and sunsets are absolutely magical in Madeira. That being said, you need to plan a ton in order to see them the right way. For instance, up at Pico do Ariero, it gets crazy packed up there 45 minutes before the sunrise. So when we were visiting, sunrise was at about 7:20 a.m., but by around 6:45 a.m., the entire parking lot was completely packed. There were hundreds of cars there. Tour buses were filling up. It was absolute madness. And you have to hike around 30 minutes in order to even get to the beautiful sunrise spot. So important things to remember is when you are doing a sunrise, get there early. And I would also recommend staying a little bit later after sunrise. A lot of the sunrise and sunset locations we would get to, and it would be raining or super cloudy right during actual sunrise or sunset. But within 20 to 30 minutes, the whole sky would clear up and it turned into this beautiful golden light. I only say that because the weather in Madeira changes so fast because it's a micro environment. So just keep that in mind when you're going to chase some of these sunrise and sunsets. Number 9 is the public transport here is extremely limited unless you're in the main town. So if you're looking to explore most of the island of Madeira, you will have to rent a car. We rented a car and only actually had to fill up gas 2 times, one time in the middle of the trip, one time at the very end of the trip. But that is also because we basically drove the entire island 2 to 3 times during our trip. So if you're doing a lot of driving, we would definitely recommend renting a car, but it is a little sketchy renting a car and driving around. So if you are a little nervous about renting a car up some of the steep roads, I would just recommend booking tours to take you to the destinations you want to go, so you don't have to stress about the busyness of the streets.
Number 10 is that the drivers here are a little crazy, and they're not as bad as places in Central America that we've been to, or if you've been to India. I know some of the craziest driving we've experienced have been in Jamaica and Dominican Republic, it wasn't as bad as that. But when you are driving, just note people will be pretty aggressive. Honestly, it's like driving in Los Angeles. That's where I grew up. And most people are pretty, what's the word? Aggressive. Aggressive is the word. So people expect tailgating when you're driving, people zooming by you really, really fast and passing you. We didn't honestly see many cops around the island regulating any sort of traffic enforcement, so maybe that's why, but the locals do like to zoom around, so just be aware of your surroundings when you're driving. Also, there's a ton of different roundabouts around the island, and a lot of people don't know how to use roundabouts properly, especially American tourists. Be extremely cautious when you are driving a rental car around. Also, the on-ramps to get on the freeway are super short. If you're used to driving around the USA, you typically have longer on-ramps to get on and off the highways. Here, you actually basically you get on the on-ramp and you stop and you yield, and then you have to immediately speed up to merge. So just keep that in mind when you are driving around Madeira. And lastly, this one was what surprised me the most, honestly, is don't expect sandy beaches. Everyone compares Madeira to the Hawaii of Europe, so I don't know why, but I was expecting a lot more like beaches where you lay out on the sand, you relax, and so on and so forth. There really was only the main black sand beach that was the most popular for your first time visiting Madeira. Obviously, there's some hidden gems for local beaches, but when it comes to lay out and relax on the sand, there weren't as many options as somewhere like Hawaii, for example, has. So instead, what they have is a lot of the natural pools, and those are really awesome. I wasn't expecting to love them as much as I did, but the freshwater pools right next to the ocean, they're super nice, but they don't necessarily have sand, so it's super rocky. And so I'd recommend bringing water shoes if you were doing any of the beaches or natural swimming pools on the island, because it's not super fine stuff and your feet might hurt a little bit, and it gets super slippery when you're going around those beaches by those natural pools. And also the black sand beach that is the most famous one on the island. When we first got there in the mid-afternoon, don't expect it to be super black. I was like, wow, I feel really bamboozled getting here, and it was almost like brown sand. When you go during the middle of the day, it kind of gets blown out, so it doesn't look like super black sand. It's still super beautiful, but if you're comparing it to other black sand beaches, it wasn't as stark of a contrast. But when we went back at sunrise or when it was cloudy, the sand definitely does look a lot more black. So if you're looking for that iconic shot of the black sand beach, go either during cloudy conditions or earlier in the morning, and you'll hopefully get that look that you're going for. And with that, that is it for things that we wish we knew before going to Madeira for the first time. If you have any tips, or if you've been here before, if you're a local and you want to recommend some other things or mistakes to avoid, let us know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you back next week with another adventure.